walked away from you, I will start to vanish on the horizon from the bottom up too. You feel me? So it's simple stuff. I mean, you can say what you want about it. It's a simple demonstration that's way more simple. We could do the personal observation. We see this being played out and duplicated. Whereas on your behalf, we got to believe some superimposed, tricky little picture that I'm explaining to you is not curvature. We haven't saw a curve. We saw little pictures and little play stuff, but I'm showing you why things vanish from the bottom up. It's very, very simple. We all see things happen. We see this happen. Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead, take the mic.
I don't know if I should be shocked or just surprised or whatever that you don't see the obvious flaw in that video. The camera is below the surface of the table. If I was to replicate this observation in real life with a lake, my camera would have to be below the water. So how about this? How about you show me objects disappearing over the horizon of a flat surface with the camera actually leveled with the surface of the table and not below it? This observation clearly does not match reality, because in reality, we don't film ships disappearing over the horizon from underwater.
So can I go ahead and respond and show you why and tell you why the camera is below the table? Because the table is
obviously to make a visual effect.
Let me go ahead and make a point to you, because I'm baffled that a person like you, you should know this, don't know this. Let me explain mathematics to you, sir, please. Just 1 minute if I can.
Sure thing.
The reason the camera is below the table is to compensate for the length of the table as opposed to the length of the actual beach horizon. So in order for us to see the quarter, the star vanish, in order for us to see the quarter vanish on the table, how we see the sun vanish on the horizon at the beach, we will have to put the camera lower to compensate for the length of the ocean. This is simple mathematics, and I'm going to tell you why right now. If the camera was the same length as the table, how we stand at the horizon, the quarter still would vanish at the bottom, just like he did when the camera was low, but he would need a long-ass table for us to observe that. So to make up for the fact that his table is not that long, like his table is not the fucking size of the beach rhetoric. So he got to lower the camera, just like if you was in an airplane and the ship. If you say that a ship actually vanishes on a horizon at the beach, I can get in an airplane and go up and actually pick the ship back up because I gain more horizon view the higher up I go. So if I'm going to reduplicate the damn beach in my kitchen, I will have to lower the camera to make this experiment accurate. This is simple math. Like my table isn't the size of the damn ocean, bro. So in order to examine that, you would have to lower the camera to compensate. It's simple math. It's just simple math.
All right.
So again, if he had the camera the same height as the table, it still would vanish at the bottom. We would just need a long ass table to compensate, for the length of the ocean and the table. You should know that.
So basically, okay. So let's go ahead, and I appreciate you explaining math. So allow me to explain some math, since you are clearly a very smart individual. You know mathematics like the back of your hand. So you then know, obviously, this equation that alpha equals 2 times the arctan of g over 2r, where alpha is the angular size of the object.
1 second, everyone. All right.
Go
ahead.
Bro, you can't interrupt, man. I'm going to have to meet you.
Yeah, hold on, Bro Sanchez. Let Reds finish, and then we'll let you respond.
Dude.
We'll let you respond.
Can't interrupt.
All right, go ahead, Reds.
Okay, so as I was saying, alpha equals 2 times the arctan of g over 2r, where alpha is the angular size of the object, g is the actual size of the object, and r is the distance to the object. That is the actual law perspective. In the video that you are showing right now, between time code 1 minute 8 seconds to 1 minute 20 seconds, we see that coin disappearing underneath your so-called horizon, even though the camera would have to be underneath the water. But we'll go ahead and ignore that glaring problem for now. Another thing that we can observe from the footage that you yourself showed is the angular size of the coin, which represents the sun, shrinking in angular size. Well, guess what? Back in 2015, I made a video towards SanchezSupport.com showing that the angular size of the sun does not change throughout the day. In order for this observation to comport with reality, not only would the camera have to be above the waterline, but the angular size of the sun would also have to remain constant, which means that as that coin is moving further and further back, it has to remain the same size in the frame. In this video that you yourself linked to, you can see that that coin is changing in angular size. When we do observations of the angular size of the sun in reality, we see that it does not change. I did this back in 2015, and I am going to post a link to it right now, both in the live chat and also to be played here on the live stream.
Okay, so did you see the pictures that I put up on all of my channels of our experiments proving that the sun does change size? It does change size as it moves away from you. So plenty of flat earthers done their own research, and I was showing us not only does the sun change size as it moves away from you and gets smaller on the horizon, just like street lights do as the street lights further down in the distance, they're smaller. So it shows you that the quarter on the table example is perfectly in line with reality because this is what we observe. We're not trying to make our experiments be like what I do. I go with what reality shows. If I do an experiment and my experiment don't line up with reality, in my eyes, it's my experiment that's wrong, not reality. You saw the quarter shrinking on the table just like we see the sun shrink on the horizon. I see it shrink every day as it's going down. I'm in Nevada, so I got a lot of horizon view. I got a lot of land. I got a lot of distance to see. So what I'm saying is not only do I see the sun shrinking as it moves away from me, I also feel the warmth of the sun being taken away from me. So the sun is taking its warmth with it and it's shrinking as it goes, just like cars shrink as they go down the road. I don't know, how a sun 93 million miles away would change size as it's going, over a so-called curve. And that's why you're having this problem, because according to your model, it would have to stay the same size. But in reality, that's not what we observe. I challenge everybody to go outside and observe the sun itself. Does it change size as it's going down on the horizon? Now, you're going to have some atmospheric aspects that play into that. You're going to have a lot of things play into that. But the fact remains that if your research showed you that the sun does not change size, hey, man, more power to you. It's just that my research shows me contrary to that. My question for you would be humbly, where am I going wrong with my research? Is it a filter? Because I heard that before. So that you're not using the right filter or something.
Well, that depends. Were you using a solar filter? Were you zooming in at max zoom like I did? Because the fact is that one thing that I see a lot of flat earthers do is that they confuse glare with angular size. Glare is not the same as angular size. Glare will make the sun appear bigger than it actually is. Look at a filtered image with an unfiltered image. The sun looks immensely bigger than it does in reality. So if you were to do your observation with that filter from the very beginning, then you would actually see what is currently playing on the screen right now. I went out and took a picture of the sun, one picture every 30 minutes for an entire day. Each image was taken at the same zoom because the digital zoom was turned off for this observation with the Nikon P900, again, the flat earther camera of choice. And here you see the sun stay the exact same size in the frame throughout the entire day, which means that the video that you showed us of the coin disappearing into the distance with the camera below the waterline, of course, is debunked by that alone, because that coin was shrinking, but yet in reality, the sun does not. Your observation is flawed somewhere because it does not comport with reality. Your explanation is flawed because it doesn't comport with how one would actually do the observation. We would be above the waterline, not below it. So your entire premise is built on faulty assumptions and faulty analysis.
Okay, once again, the reason we wouldn't be below, of course we wouldn't, like I told you, with the camera wouldn't be lined up with the table to compensate for the length of the table. I don't think you're getting that. Like, of course we wouldn't be below the water line. In this experiment, we would be, because we wouldn't be in the kitchen if we're trying to test the, test how the sun vanishes on the horizon. Think about what we're saying, Red. We're reduplicating the beach in our home. And the best way to make that accurate, to compensate for how vast the ocean is and how small my table is to put the camera down, to give us to give me less space that I got to deal with. See, the higher I want you to picture this in your mind. Picture him in his kitchen with the quarter on a table and his camera raised up high. Let's say we raise it up high. It'll take forever to see that quarter vanish on the horizon, Red. His table will have to be bigger than the damn Last Supper, that's for sure. He would need a table bigger than the damn Last Supper, bro. And we would be there all day if he raised that camera up. Now he's in his kitchen trying to reduplicate the ocean. If he put the camera right where we would normally be at the ocean, that's mathematically inaccurate, because the ocean and his table are totally different sizes. So how did he compensate for the size of the ocean and his table not being the size of the ocean? He lowered the camera. We only dealing with convergence and views, how things vanish in a distance. We're dealing with angular views. We're dealing with convergence. So in order to compensate, to reduplicate the beach in your house, you just lower the camera so that we can examine the quarter vanish on the bottom quicker. If he raised the camera, we pick the bottom right back up. So him bringing the camera down is nothing faulty. It's him redoing the beach at home, and I don't think you get that. His table is not as long as the ocean. So if you
I will go ahead and agree with you on one thing. I don't get it, so I will pass it on to someone who might. Conspiracy Cats, do you understand this? Because I don't.
Well, if you gotta let
No. I mean, the point is, whether that experiment was wrong, which it clearly was, or whether it was, you've just literally been shown a time lapse of the sun being taken over. What was it? A day that Reds? A whole day?
A whole day from morning to sunset.
Yeah. So you've just been literally shown, and this is where you need to sort of like give some kind of response, right? You've just been shown a picture of a time lapse of the sun, and it is clearly not changed in angular size. So whatever you've done with the coin and the table is completely irrelevant, right? Have you got a scientific explanation to explain the sunset when you now know that the sun doesn't change in angular size?
The thing is this, I don't know nothing because he played a YouTube video. Like, the problem with today's generation, we so video. I played a video, now you don't believe me. Like, it's not a matter of belief, it's a matter of fact. Great video. It's not enough evidence to convince me. So, now, wait a minute. Y'all cut me off from the beginning and you didn't really want me to cut Red off. I apologize, but y'all didn't let me finish. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The argument about the quarter. Yeah, the quarter on the table thing is very relevant. If it wasn't, he wouldn't even entertain the argument. Now that I'm breaking it clear to you why the camera is lower and I'm making it make sense, now all of a sudden it's not irrelevant. But anyway, we can move on. And what you were saying was about the footage he showed. Great footage. And you know what? I'll say based upon that footage, it proves what he said. Now, this goes back and forth. I do these debates all the time where the globalists show up showing their footage. And I host a lot of these debates. So I'm not always debating. And what I find is that the flat earthers show their footage. And it becomes a matter of me having to go to the chat room and say, okay, guys, which footage do you accept? And I have to go to the chat and be like, which one of these guys, because his footage support his and his footage support his. And this guy's saying, well, your footage is wrong for da-da-da-da-da, but your footage is wrong for da-da-da-da-da. And at the end of the day, we're leaving it up to the people to say, well, who footage do you believe? When, like I said, it's not a matter of belief. They need to go do their own research and make it a matter of fact. Personal observation is not me looking at your video saying, okay, Red, you're right, I'm wrong. That's a fact. I've done research and what you've presented, in my opinion, it's not that easy to get meat. Like I still haven't thought up yet to convince me that they're curvature. That's just me though, and I'm willing to keep listening and